Hello, I'm stillnotcorry, and I'm also still being harassed by Joe Rogan fans. Joe Rogan has said a few silly things, and I have then said things about the silly things that Joe Rogan has said, and then Joe Rogan fans have said things to me because they don't like the things I've said about Joe Rogan's silly things, and this video is me talking about the things that Joe Rogan fans have said to me when I said things about Joe Rogan because he said silly things. Got it? I just went through some of my comments and DMs and found just the funniest comments from Rogan fans. And if you are a Rogan fan and you're watching this and thinking, you've chosen the absolute stupidest comments, trust me, these comments are the rule more than they are the exception. I promise you that. You can go through my comments and check for yourself. I'm not twisting this here. These are what the comments are like. But before we start talking about the Joe Rogan comments, it would be awesome if you, yourself, left a comment. Let me know what color your hair is. I don't know. Leave a comment down there. Do it. Do it now. Do it or the video won't play. I promise you. Try not to comment in the video. It won't play. I am coming here to tell you that I have forgotten to thank all of my lovely friends who lent their voices to this video. Thank you very, very much. Your names are on screen now, and I'm also going to say them because I remembered them. It's Jamie, it's Jake, it's Ethan, it's Lewis, and it's Tom. Thank you all very much. If you would like to find those friends in a nice way, look at the description. I have their names and their links sitting there, ready for you to click. Okay, let's start the video.
Oh, Corey, you fool. Podcasts aren't for experts. They're for people who want to talk about random things, W people. Wouldn't expect someone like you to understand that, though. Even if he has an audience, as he said, no one should listen to me, so he makes sure to let people know that he's just stating his opinion. It's not that hard to understand.
Okay, I love this. I love this person saying that podcasts aren't for experts. I mean, podcasts don't have to be for experts, but they're not just for people who want to talk about random things with other people. I mean, podcasts can be about anything, but the fact is that Joe Rogan has a massive, massive podcast, and people actually listen to him. So when he says things that are just dumb or wrong, you get a lot of Joe Rogan fans just defending him. Even when he goes back on what he says, they do not care. I again also love that this person, this lovely commenter has said, wouldn't expect someone like you to understand that though. Commenter, I have a podcast. I've been doing a podcast for about 2.5 years. I understand how podcasts work. It's like my job. How can I combat Joe Rogan saying no one should listen to me? Well, people listen to him anyway. You can't absolve yourself of misusing your platform by saying, no one should listen to me. People listen to you. Okay, people do listen to you. So saying no one should, okay, cool. Maybe no one should, but they do. So it's your responsibility to make sure that the stuff that they're listening to isn't blatantly wrong and, gonna put them in danger of some sort. This is gonna be a running theme that you'll see in these comments, people saying, oh, he's just stating an opinion. And stating an opinion is fine. I'm not the opinion police. I'm not gonna crack down on you just for having an opinion. But the thing about opinions is, if there are facts that contradict those opinions, the opinion doesn't matter. I'm sorry, I know we were told in primary school that your opinion matters. Everyone's opinion is special and unique, and it matters. They're all equally important. Not all opinions are equal. If your opinion flies in the face of fact, for example, let's say my opinion is that young and healthy people shouldn't get the vaccine because they don't need it. Like, oh, what the risks, blah, 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 blah. And the fact is that it's probably best for young and healthy people to get the vaccine, then my opinion would be wrong. And me stating my opinion to an audience would be irresponsible, right? Joe Rogan probably should not be spreading his opinion on things that he doesn't understand. Like, I'm not gonna give my opinion, I don't know, on like the intricacies of World War I, because I'm gonna be totally honest, I know all about World War I, and my opinion is meaningless.
Please delete your Snapchat series thing. I saw it on there and noticed there wasn't a dislike opinion or anything, so I came here to dislike and tell you to stop, please.
These are my favorite kinds of comments. I get lots of these. People telling me that they don't like what I'm making and so I should stop. My dear friend, I am not forcing you to lay your eyes upon this. If you are watching this right now and thinking, oh boy, I sure hate Corey, and you're typing an angry comment telling me, Corey, I don't like your content. Please stop making your content so that I don't have to. You can just close your eyes and ears, my friend. Just stop watching. Click away. I'm glad that you're here. I love that I'm getting the ad revenue, man. But like, what? Why should I stop? Why? It's not for you. If you don't like it, it's not for you. It would be a different story if I was spreading misinformation to a large audience and actually impacting people in that way. But that's not what this is saying. That's not what these people are saying. They're saying, I don't like it, so you should stop. It's so funny to me. Imagine flicking through the TV, going through the TV channels, and then you happen upon a show that you're not a fan of, and instead of clicking away, you leave the TV show on and then write a very angry letter to the TV station saying, how dare you play this television show? The Big Bang Theory is awful and I don't want to watch it. Therefore, it shouldn't be on the air. No, man, world doesn't revolve around you. World doesn't revolve around you. And I will say this again, it would be an entirely different story if they were saying that I was spreading misinformation. I would take that on board. I'd look at that and be like, am I spreading misinformation? What have I got wrong here? But that's not the criticism. That's not the criticism these people are making. They're just saying, I don't like it. Babies. They're babies.
COVID ain't so bad. I'd rather get COVID than a kick to the face from Joe Rogan.
This is another thing that happens in all of these comments. These people will say, you can't beat Joe Rogan in a fight. Joe Rogan could kick your ass. Probably. Yeah. No idea what that has to do with anything. It's so indicative of their own mindset. This whole sort of masculinity thing, like whoever is strongest and best at fight, it means they are the most correct and right. No, my ability to kick Joe Rogan's ass is completely separate from my criticism of him being irresponsible. If you literally have nothing to say about, my actual criticisms, and the only thing you can say is, yeah, but Joe Rogan could kick your ass, like, have you considered that maybe I'm right? Huh? Maybe I'm right? But then let's weigh this up. Would you rather get COVID than a kick to the face from Joe Rogan? Again, I don't want either of them, but I feel like I could recover much better from a kick to the face than from a disease that could potentially leave me with long COVID. So I might have to go with the kick to the face from Joe Rogan. I'm gonna be honest. I was for a second actually a little bit worried that he was gonna burst in my door there and kick me in the teeth, but I'm sure Joe won't do that. We're tight. This is interesting because this is like quite a long comment. It's well thought out. It's got some decent points in there, and the person is clearly put a little bit of thought into it. And I don't disagree. What's interesting to me is that people often call me a journalist. They'll message me and say, you're a bad journalist. You're bad at being a journalist. You should give up journalism. I'm not a journalist, man. I'm sitting in my studio just filming a video about stuff. Journalism was never my intent. Okay, it was never my intent. Just making videos from my room. That's my job. Okay. People see Joe Rogan as a journalist rather than just an influencer, and he's held to kind of weird standards. And if you disagree with this comment, I feel like you'd have to write some sort of rebuttal. You'd have to deconstruct each of the points one by one and say, this is why I disagree. And let's see what the Joe Rogan fans have responded to this comment with.
No, that's dumb.
Yeah, that's the response. No, that's dumb. No reasons why it's dumb? Nah. No need to say that. No need to think about that. Nah. Whew, it's hard to take Joe Rogan fans seriously when this is what Joe Rogan fans are like.
Someone doesn't have an argument when they just laugh the entire time.
Now, I don't want you guys to misunderstand. I do laugh a lot, and that's because of two reasons mainly. One, I think the things that I'm reacting to are funny on some level, and two, I make jokes for myself, and I think I'm funny. I don't think anyone else should think I'm funny, but I really think I'm funny. That's who I make my jokes for. I'm my target audience. Of course I'm gonna laugh. But it's weird that this person is saying that, someone doesn't have an argument when they laugh. I have tons of arguments. What are you talking about? The video is like 30 minutes long or something. Like, I talk about what I disagree with constantly. Like, I actually spend ages just talking about it. Like, sure, I'm laughing, but are you only listening to the laughs? Are you only listening to the laughs? Like, I thought I made my point very clear. Let's put it simply here. My point is, big audience, okay? Big audience equal big responsibility to not spread dangerous misinformation to audience. That is it very simply put. And the conclusion was Joe Rogan, not terrible. Joe Rogan, irresponsible. Joe Rogan should be more responsible. That is the simplest way I could put my argument. And I swear to God, if you're watching that video and saying, oh, there is no argument, there is only laugh. Listen, man, open your ear holes, please.
When this happens to me while having an argument, I hit him with a, you're laughing because it's true.
Again, it's difficult to take Joe Rogan fans seriously because, well, you're laughing because it's true. Are you in primary school? Really? It's honestly kind of sad and very, very funny. Let's just for a second picture a grown man, a Joe Rogan fan, saying something that is so silly that the people that he's talking to laugh. And he pulls out, you're laughing because it's true. Like, Jesus Christ. I don't think I've ever said that seriously since I was a child. The inability to construct arguments, the inability to understand that when people find you hilarious because of that it's not because you're on some higher level than them. It's because you sound fucking idiotic, man. Like, oh my lord. You're laughing because it's true. There's nothing I can add to this. Let's just take a little bit of silence to think of a grown man unironically saying, you're laughing because it's true. So the first commenter says this.
Yes, I choose to use YouTuber with accent knowledge over someone who has been an athlete his whole life with my anatomy. Thank you.
And I say, not that it matters because I'm following the advice of experts, but I literally have a degree in biology, which is true. I studied biotechnology at university. I have a degree in it. I generally know what I'm talking about in this area. And the best clapback of the century.
More like indoctrination in biology.
Oh my god. Yep, I went to university and they indoctrinated me in biology. That's what they did. Following Joe Rogan's honestly, generally on this topic, uneducated takes. Not indoctrination, you know, the cult of Joe Rogan, not indoctrination. Studying at one of the best universities in the country for your degree is indoctrination. That is absolutely hilarious. The thing is that when these people come up against science or, you know, experts talking about their actual area of expertise, they don't know what to do. And so they say, indoctrinated. It's all lies. It's a conspiracy. No, man, no. Like, why are you trusting Joe Rogan, who, yeah, was an athlete and will understand that to some degree, over every expert? That doesn't make sense. You're appealing to authority there with Joe Rogan's knowledge of the human body through being an athlete, but you're ignoring the authority of a countless number of experts who actually have experience specifically in vaccines. That's crazy. That is absolutely fucking insane. And bear in mind, I'm not saying that I'm the expert, but what I am saying is that I'm reading what the experts are saying. I'm reading the studies for my podcast. Remember, I've got the podcast. I'm reading the studies. That's where I'm taking my information and advice from. It's pretty straightforward, right? Should you trust Joe Rogan? Just some guy with a podcast who he used to be an athlete, or a whole lot of doctors and scientists who actually understand how vaccines work and who should probably be taking vaccines? I don't know how you could justify that to yourself. I don't understand it. It's just baffling to me to love some guy so much, just some guy so much that you're like, yeah, I'll take his advice on anything. For example, I love to go on, but if Jess Perkins were to tell me to snort dog medicine, I'd probably think twice before doing it. Especially if a bunch of scientists were saying, hey, probably avoid snorting that dog medicine there. I don't understand going with Joe Rogan over, you know, scientists, a lot of scientists and experts, especially when these people try and present themselves as looking at all of the information and taking the facts. The only way that they can justify that to themselves is by saying that actually all of the experts and scientists are in on this big conspiracy to indoctrinate people to blah, 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 blah. Blah. Blah.
Not Corey, and not a doctor, so...
This one was funny. I like this one. This one's good. However, Joe Rogan, also not a doctor, so maybe he should shut the f up too, huh? Think before you spink. Again, I don't need to be a doctor to say that someone is wrong about vaccines or another area of science if what I'm doing is reading what doctors and other experts are saying. Right? Like, if I read the scientific consensus and I know what the scientific consensus is, I don't need to have personally done the research or be an expert in that field to say to someone who is blatantly contradicting the scientific consensus, hey, I don't think that's right. I don't know what's hard to understand about this. If there's a scientific consensus and just some guy with a podcast is saying, I think the scientific consensus is wrong, I don't need to be a doctor to say, hey, that's not what the scientific consensus is, so you're probably wrong. The way that we structure truth in our society is that the best way we have of understanding what facts are is through the scientific method. So the scientific consensus is the closest that we can get to facts. Obviously, we can't prove anything without there being some small level of doubt or uncertainty there, but the scientific consensus is the best thing we've got. And going with some quack doctor or some ex-athlete podcaster over literally every f***ing expert is batshit insane. The issue is that you don't do that for everything. This is the point. You trust authority on some things, and when you feel like you don't want to trust authority, you don't. So you're not actually going with facts and logic. You're following your feelings. I'm afraid to say that your feelings don't care about facts, man. That's the thing. These people will say, oh, this is a conspiracy, that's a conspiracy. But when you start calling things conspiracies without any evidence or proof or backing whatsoever, you can't really trust anything. And so what you choose to believe and choose to not believe is dependent entirely on what feels right to you. I can guarantee you that most of the people that are against vaccines had kind of a bad feeling about vaccines to begin with, and just this is the way that they're able to legitimize that. People don't like changing their minds.
If the establishment woke elites came out tomorrow and started a social media trend that said, stop hate on trans tech people, you'd somehow know all about it by Monday and be the biggest advocate because it's the hottest woke trend. Why don't you ever put that motivation to good use and actually learn things so, one, you don't look as uselessly unintelligent and so obviously a shill for Democrat / LGBTQIAA2 plus community talking points that get handed to you by elites? And two, when did y'all start to side with the establishment on everything? Such an odd turn.
I love this comment so much because there are so many different things. One, I don't know what a trans tech person is. Like the idea though, sounds cool. I'd somehow know all about it by Monday and be the biggest advocate because it's the hottest woke trend. That's just like so not what I do. And I think that's evident to anyone that actually engages with the content that I make. I tend to think a lot about the things that I say and believe. And I mean, like even on the podcast, that's quite evident. I don't like to jump into believing anything, and I like to be proven wrong. Obviously, I don't enjoy the process of being proven wrong, but I do like knowing when I'm wrong so that I can then modify my beliefs to be more correct, right? That's the best way to go about things, I think. I don't understand why these people start to say, oh yeah, you're just jumping on a woke trend. I'm not jumping on a woke trend saying that vaccines are good. I've been saying vaccines are good since before this whole COVID thing, right? I'm not hopping on this because it's a trend. When it comes to like other LGBT stuff, I'm also not hopping on that because it's a trend. There are opinions that I have that are not the wokest thing, and I absolutely talk about when I think wokeism is being silly, right? Like I'm not someone that's just like, I need to be as woke as possible. Oh my god, that's such a misread, man. I don't expect the people engaging with just one or two of my videos to leave hate on it, to fully know every bit of content that I produce, but I think it's fucking hilarious how confidently they make the assumption that that's all I do and I don't know what I'm talking about. For example, this one saying, why don't I put that motivation to good use and actually learn things? Dude, I have a podcast entirely about learning things that I've been doing for 2.5 years. I tend to know what the fuck I'm talking about, you know? And when I don't, I'm very open to being told that I'm wrong. I have had that on my podcast. You can see that. I've said things that were wrong, or I believed something that was untrue. Someone said, hey, that's not true. Here's the evidence. And I'm like, oh, hey guys, I got this thing wrong and it wasn't true. That is just a standard thing that we do. It's so funny to me that this person is so blatantly wrong about this, that they're just making that assumption because they have to. And it's so clear that this isn't really a valid criticism, and so many people that leave comments like this don't care about accuracy. They will just make an assumption because they disagree with you. It is baffling how many people say almost this exact thing of, you should put your effort into, dude, I put my effort into my podcast every week. It's in my body, it's everywhere, right? You can very easily find it, man. It's just try a little harder. Looking uselessly unintelligent. I can't help how I look. If I look like a big dumb himbo, then I look like a big dumb himbo. And you know what? I think I'm okay with that. Himbo rights, man. Himbo rights. On top of that, very funny that so many people assume that I'm American and a Democrat. I am neither. The fact is that I've got Scottish in pretty much all of my bios, and if you're watching my videos, you can hear me talk. I'm not American, you know? I think it's pretty evident that I'm a little bit more left than the Democrats. Just because I say something that you disagree with that is farther left than you, it does not mean that I am a Democrat shill. I say the things that I believe because I believe in them. I don't have elites handing talking points down to me. I don't know who these elites are. Where would they give me the information? What the fuck are you talking about? These people are living in a fucking fantasy land. It is hilarious to see that they genuinely think that me, just some guy making YouTube and Snapchat videos, is being handed talking points by elites. No, I decide what to make a video on because I've seen something silly, and then I'm like, okay, I'll make a video on it, and I sit and chat to a camera for fucking half an hour. I feel like these people have to believe in conspiracies, otherwise they can't justify the rest of their beliefs. They need to think that I'm some Democrat shill who's being handed talking points from the LGBTQIA2+ elites, when really, I'm just a guy making videos about stuff. Not because anyone is telling me to, or forcing me to, or handing me talking points, or like indoctrinating me, but because I'm talking about what I believe, and generally I'm using facts to back that up. Obviously, I don't source these videos generally. I might change that in the future because I'm getting a lot more comments about it. But that's usually because I don't need to do a whole lot of specific research before these videos, because I'm already generally reading that stuff anyway. It is just really interesting to me that so many people think that I'm being paid by the elites to talk about what I'm talking about, especially when there's places like PragerU, who their funding is, you know where their funding is coming from. They're literally being paid by the elites, you know? It's this almost like blindness to fact that it's hilarious to me. And that second part about siding with the establishment now, that's really interesting to me, because I've heard a lot of people that are like sort of conservative, right-wing, or, you know, like alt-right say this kind of stuff, because a lot of people that are skewing left have been saying, get the vaccine, and obviously the government is rolling out the vaccines. This isn't a sort of blanket, yes, let's agree with the establishment. On my podcast, sorry to mention it again, but I've been very vocal about disagreeing with the government and how they've dealt with COVID. I am not all for the establishment. I'm for vaccines, and the establishment are the only ones that are able to roll out vaccines, so yes, I'm going to support that in that way, while still absolutely being critical of everything that I'll be critical of. I don't understand it. You can't win here, can you? You know, you can be as critical of the establishment as you want, but still recognize that sometimes working with the establishment is the only way to achieve a certain end goal. For example, what would you do? Be like, oh no, I don't like the current government, so I'm going to refuse the vaccine. I don't like the current government, and I'm critical of how they handle the NHS, so I'm going to not use the NHS. It comes from the same line of thinking of saying that people who proclaim themselves to be socialists shouldn't be rich or making money. It's not hypocritical or incongruous to say capitalism bad, whilst also doing well at capitalism. You don't have an option. That's one of the reasons that people say capitalism bad, because it's coercive. You are forced to engage with it. There's not really much you can do by refusing to engage, especially if you want to change the system in any way. This is the issue here, right? You've got a system wherein people need money to have power, generally, right? And so if you're one of the people that wants to change the system, you probably need to accrue some level of money to have some level of power. But as soon as you do that, people start saying, well, you are a hypocrite because you have this power that you say is bad. But if you're using that power to change the system, Is it not fine? Basically, it's just this way of keeping people down. Either you're a hypocrite because you've got a lot of money and you don't agree with capitalism, or you're jealous because you don't have a lot of money and you don't agree with capitalism. There's no way to win. It's like a catch-22. This is all bullshit just to keep people mad. It does not mean anything. Back to the whole establishment thing. No one is siding blindly with the establishment. People are still heavily critical. I'm gonna be honest, I don't get where this siding with the establishment all the time thing is coming from. It doesn't make much sense. Agreeing with lockdowns isn't really super siding with the establishment. I guess the thing is that being critical of the establishment doesn't mean that you can't agree with some of the decisions sometimes. You can be fully critical of something and then respect that sometimes they've made a correct decision. It's just a weird criticism to me because it kind of seems like the only thing you can do is make a blanket judgment about something, whereas, you know, realistically, you can be critical of something a lot, but if it does something right, you're gonna say it, right? There's no point in being critical of it when you agree with it. And it just so happens that a lot of people that are kind of on the left agreed with lockdowns and agreed with vaccine rollouts and agreed with vaccine mandates. It's not necessarily siding with the establishment because they're the establishment. It's, oh, they're doing something that is for the benefit of everyone. I kind of agree with that. You know? How much would you guys pay to see this fool in the ring with Rogan? Not me. Joe would knock this kid into next week. Again, these men only seem to understand physical violence. It's like my dad could beat up your dad. Joe Rogan could kick this kid into next week. That doesn't matter. That is completely irrelevant. Joe Rogan being irresponsible and Joe Rogan being good at fighting people, not even remotely connected to each other in this instance, right? If I say Joe Rogan is being irresponsible and your response to that is he could beat you up. Okay, where does that leave us on him being irresponsible, man? These people can't take any criticism of their fave. They're little Joe Rogan stans. They can't stand to see anyone say a bad word about Joe Rogan. The thing is, if you actually watched that video that I made about Joe Rogan, that first one, my criticisms were pretty goddamn mild. They were really goddamn mild. I concluded it by saying, he's not that bad. He should just be more responsible. And that's enough to send them into a tizzy. That's enough to send them into a fucking frenzy of saying he could kick my ass. It's honestly so sad, man. Is that all you've got to say? Joe Rogan said something irresponsible and all you can say is, yeah, but he's good at fight though. He could beat up anyone that says they don't like him. Jesus fucking Christ, man. When these people have tried to insult me, it's really not done that much, but I have found it really interesting to see what they find insulting. A lot of times what they'll do is try and attack my masculinity, which I don't really give a shit about, man. Like, go ahead, call me a girl. Do it, man. Say that Joe Rogan can kick my ass. I don't fucking care. I don't care at all. It's not relevant to what I was saying. These people genuinely cannot hurt my feelings. And it's so funny to watch them try. It genuinely is very funny to watch them try because they keep on commenting about stuff like, oh, this piercing that you've got, like, oh, your teeth. Dude, I like how I look. If I make a decision about my face, it's because I like the thing. You telling me you don't like it, it doesn't matter to me. But what that does tell me is that you are obsessed with what other people think of how you look, which is like really depressing, man. If you're gonna send an insult to some stranger online, before you do that, try and think why that's gonna hurt them, right? Because why would I care about your opinion? I really don't. Here we have an Instagram DM.
The virus will continue to mutate. There's no stopping that. Supposedly, COVID originated from a bat. So regardless if everyone is vaccinated or not, the virus will mutate in animals and spread to humans. Unless someone is willing to admit that the virus is man-made, in which shouldn't we hold those people accountable?
Right. Number of things here. The virus will continue to mutate. Yeah. It will mutate less if it's spreading between fewer people because it's got fewer chances to sort of mutate. So that we should still vaccinate people. It's not like, oh, it's going to mutate anyway. Yeah. No, vaccine good. Vaccine reduced rate of mutation by reducing transmission. Vaccine good. Supposedly COVID originated from a bat, so regardless if everyone is vaccinated or not, the virus will mutate in animals and spread to humans. That's not really necessarily true. We do have an issue with zoonotic viruses, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't vaccinate at all. In fact, vaccination is going to help on that front. This kind of just like, well, it's gonna happen anyway, blah, blah, blah. Honestly, no, that is not the way that we should deal with this thing. That is gonna make things worse. Honestly, it's going to make stuff worse. And then we get on to the conspiracy theory that it was man-made in a lab, in which case, shouldn't we hold those people accountable? Now, I know from the number of messages that I've gotten about this, that when these people say this, they're talking about China. They want to hold China accountable. Kind of a non sequitur. What I was saying is, this man spreading misinformation should hold himself accountable, be responsible for what he says. And this person has turned it into, but if it was made in a lab, shouldn't we hold them accountable? Yeah, fucking probably, man. But like, first what you gotta do is find out if it was actually made in the lab, right? Like, go ahead and do that first. And like, I know there have been news stories about it. Please, it's not what this video is about. So let's just put that on the back burner for now. I've said that if it was made in the lab, sure, hold people accountable. If it was accidentally released through irresponsibility, then yeah, let's hold people accountable. But again, not a rebuttal to what I was saying about Joe Rogan. If anything, that's just, yeah, let's hold people accountable for stuff that they do, right? For irresponsible that they do and say. I don't know what kind of argument these people are making here. I don't know what they expect me to say. I don't want to make this totally clear. When I got this message, at the time this message was sent, no evidence for COVID being made in the lab. And that's what really bothers me. When people have conspiracy theories and they've got no evidence, and then some kind of evidence starts to surface, they're like, I told you so. No, you fucking didn't. No, you didn't tell me so. You didn't. You were lucky. Okay, if you believe something without any evidence and then some evidence shows up, you don't win there. Okay, again, you were just lucky. And here we have a tweet. I don't remember what it was replying to, but let's see what it says.
You are absurdly annoying, and it blows my mind that you call yourself a sci guy. Your new video on Snapchat about Joe Rogan ignores science when you claim not having it endangers others. The current vaccines don't prevent the spread or the contraction of the virus, just eases symptoms.
This is another person that just misunderstood how the vaccine works. And this is a thing that spreads around a lot. They say that the vaccine doesn't limit spread, it just eases symptoms. No, the vaccine does limit spread. And it also can ease symptoms, but it does do both. It does do both. There's not much more I can say to this. It does do both. It is a funny one, though. It is funny. It blows my mind that you call yourself a sci guy. That's good. I'm glad that they checked out my podcast. That's sweet of them. And it seems that I've got their account here as well. So let's take a look at the account that sent me this. 0 following, 0 followers. Joined in July 2021. A month before they sent that reply. Very much trust this Twitter account. Absolutely trust this fully anonymous, just watching news, created July 2021 Twitter account. Oh my god. Here is absolutely one of my favorites. It's just mwah.
Don't know where you're from, but in America, we have freedom, G. It ain't my job to worry about anyone's health besides me and my family. My lunch is more important than your health as far as I see it. Yeehaw!
I guess I can't argue with this American individualism. Although getting a vaccine will help you and your family's health, probably, right? Unless, of course, you're exempt, in which case, whatever. But if you can get a vaccine, you should get a vaccine, not just for yourself, but for everyone else. Even if you don't care about everyone else, for yourself. There is very little that I can add to this one. I just wanted you to experience it as well, because it's one of the funniest things I've ever been said in my life. I had to experience it, and so did you now. There you go. I can't fathom not caring about anyone else. I don't know where you're from, but in America, we have freedom. Freedom to not give a shit about anyone else. Dude, okay. Wouldn't be bragging about that if I were you. It's just an odd thing to say, I literally do not care about anyone else unless they are in my life. And it's clear that that's the kind of mindset that these people have. They just do not give a shit about anyone else, which I think is pretty terrible. It's gonna come back to bite you in the ass because you will rely on other people giving a shit about you. I promise you that. You're not gonna be entirely self-sufficient there, my friend. At some point, you'll have to rely on someone else, and you'll be lucky that they're not as big a prick as you are. But that is it. That is all of the comments I have for you today. If you're a Joe Rogan fan and you hated this video, let me know in the comments so I can make another video using your comments. Wouldn't that be nice? We could work together on that. And if you did enjoy this video, let me know in the comments. Subscribe, like it, all of that stuff. That'd be really, really cool. I'm gonna go away for a bit and just wait for some brain cells to grow back. I think these comments really did a number on them. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please, like I said, like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. It really does help. Really helps a lot. Also, you could share this video if you want. Go nuts. Share it on Twitter. I might even retweet you. Who knows? Ooh. But also, if you want to be a patron, there's patrons here. You can join my Patreon for, whatever amount you please. Whatever you wouldn't miss. Go ahead, you can join, you get a lot of cool stuff. You can get bonus videos, you get early videos. You can also get a discount on my merch, and I might be releasing some new merch soon, so you can get a discount on new merch drops. How cool is that? You could also get your name here, like I've said already, but also said by me and my mouth in a video. So thank you to Sarah and Renegade. Dearie me, I don't know what else I say, man. Check out my podcast and my main channel, and goodbye.
No, that's dumb. Lol. Lol at use? I lol. I'm lolling. Oh my god, this is the most lollish thing I've seen all evening. Lol. It's so dumb. No, that's dumb. Lol. Lol, I say. Lol indeed. Okay.